following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lord. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Now, your hosts, Mickey Spagnola, Rob Phillips, Everson Walls, and Bill Jones.
And it's a Tuesday inside the SWBC Mortgage Studios here at the Star in Frisco, and time to talk Cowboys. No Rob today. He's out this week, but we hope to have Rob back next week. Right, Mickey Spagnola?
Yes, since I missed last week,
Yep.
we're just rotating who's missing here.
That's right. We're mainstays right here. That's
man.
right.
I mean, we're the oldest guys here, right?
No, he's the oldest guy.
Oh,
What do you-
he just looks so cute. I never know how old he is. He's like a baby with a beard.
Thank you.
That's right. That's right. Oh, wow. So much to talk about.
We do.
We got a Super Bowl matchup. Mm-hmm. I got my Super Bowl hat on.
Yeah, but it's the wrong color.
It's
like
And
totally
you're
wrong
it's from
color.
last year.
And you're here.
Yep, I'm here. But no one's there yet.
Yeah, that's right. This
There
is
is-
the off week.
Well, I can claim
Are you still going?
I'm not going. No.
Oh, okay. Oh,
No.
that's right. It's a
No.
different broadcast.
That's right. It's a Fox broadcast. It's not CBS. We break out all stops when it's CBS.
there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
But, so it's Kansas City, the Dallas Texans, and the San Francisco 49ers. Should be a good Super Bowl matchup.
Almost
Really
a-
good matchup.
Almost a good anniversary game, right? From the first one?
Yeah, almost. Good.
So KC beat both teams in the playoffs that had a little something in common, right? Houston Oilers.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So you beat
the Texans.
and the Titans.
That's right.
Both of them came through Houston.
That's right.
So
in
it's pretty
fact,
cool.
if you really want to go
Yep.
back in time,
We're talking Texas ties on both sides, right? There you go.
That's right. You had this AFC Championship game matchup was a rematch of the 1962 AFL Championship game, the Dallas Texans winning in double overtime over the Houston Oilers.
Wow.
And Lamar Hunt subsequently moved the team to Kansas City right after that.
Absolutely.
That was classy dude. That is a classy dude. Yeah, the whole Hunt family.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure it was all a money thing, but they could have stayed here, and fought it out. They could have battled for the market, I guess you might say.
Well, and if you look back at the archives from 1960, 61, 62, of course, the Cowboys were an upstart expansion franchise and just getting their legs, and the Texans were more popular at the
They
outset.
sure were.
They were, and more successful, too, by the
And
way.
then
As
still
evidenced by the fact they won
decided to just move up, pick up the stakes, and move on out.
He got a sweetheart deal
He must have.
to move to Kansas City, if I remember. The mayor of Kansas City enticed him with some financial incentives, and off he went.
And he took a lot of great Texas athletes with him, too.
Yes.
Yes, Emmett Thomas, right? Mm-hmm. Hall of Fame. Was a Bishop College?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yep.
a lot of local guys were on that
Yep.
squad.
And Texas guys, E.J. Hollum, is a Texas guy.
A draft choice of the Cowboys.
There you go.
That they
That's
didn't
right.
sign.
Yeah.
Big Buck Buchanan, Grambling State. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
A
Get
great
that
squad.
Grambling in
How
there.
many Hall of Famers on that team when you think about it? Otis Taylor, right?
Glenn Dawson.
You're talking Emmett Thomas. Mm-hmm. And a great squad. Marcellus. I remember Marcellus being in the secondary. What a great man-to-man player. You also had the guy that just got the Hall of Fame the year after I didn't make it. He had 57 interceptions. Is it Johnny Robinson?
Yeah, Johnny
Yes,
Robinson.
Johnny
Johnny
Robinson.
Robinson. That's
That's right.
exactly right. Yeah.
So that's a great squad. And, you have to think about it. He's one of the last ones to make the Hall of Fame on that team as far as the superstar players.
So
And he finally got in as a senior.
did they keep throwing that in their face that it'd been how many years since
50.
they've been to the Super Bowl?
50 years.
50 years,
Yep. Yep.
Super Bowl 4?
Yep. Super Bowl. Well, this is 54, so that would be 4.
I figured it out real quick, didn't I? I always get them confused with when the Jets won it and then when Kansas City won it. But they went to the first one.
That's right, against Green Bay, and that's what you were alluding to off the top there. Almost in the 100th year of the National Football League, had a rematch of the first Super Bowl.
Green Bay didn't come close to holding up their end of the bargain.
That's right.
God, they just got wiped out.
And that's very unusual for a Lombardi team, especially in a championship game.
Yeah. No, you're talking about this game.
I meant this game.
I'm sorry. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, Lombardi beat them.
So I thought, I like, okay, maybe it's a little CTE checking in. A little
game.
CTE coming in
Packers
here
didn't
on
hold
one
up.
of our sides.
Yeah. Man, that was a wipeout.
Here's how much things have changed. Pat Summerall used to tell the story about the first Super Bowl. And, it was televised by both CBS and NBC, Green Bay and Kansas City. And they came back from at halftime. The second half kickoff. And CBS was still in a commercial. Maybe both networks.
No, I think NBC was still in a commercial. CBS came back.
Okay.
And Pat, they were switching who was doing the sideline reporter.
But he was working for
second
CBS.
Half, the second half was his.
Right.
So he's down on the sideline, and the producer calls in his ear.
Well, what happened was Green Bay kicked off.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. But they were in a TV timeout. Okay. And so now you take it, Vicky.
So one of the stations had it. The other NBC didn't.
Okay.
All right. And so he gets in his ear, and this is his first thing he's ever done for TV, right? Pat Summerall. This is his start. And the producer goes, Pat, NBC was in commercial break and missed the kickoff. Would you ask Vince Lombardi if he would kick off again?
Since Pat knew Lombardi, since he played for the Giants when Lombardi was a coach
How
there.
did we survive? Come on, how did we get here?
Summerall's answer is absolutely not.
Can you imagine going up to any coach, much less Vince Lombardi, and
so
saying,
they found,
we need you to kick off again.
They found some underling to go up to Lombardi and goes, Coach, they missed the kickoff on NBC. Could you kick off again? And Lombardi, yeah, okay.
Wow.
And so he did?
He
didn't
did.
know that.
What?
Yes.
Hey, come on,
they
man.
did.
No.
Because you know what? Back then, you guys are too young.
I've never heard anybody tell me
the
that.
the NFL just didn't recognize the AFL. They felt like this was a slap in their face that they had to play this game.
Right.
The NFL championship game they considered the championship
Super Bowl,
game.
basically. Yeah.
It's like, oh, now we got to play this game, right? So Lombardi, I don't know how serious the Packers took it, and he goes, yeah, we'll kick off again. And they did.
Could you imagine, man?
Missed the kickoff.
These days, like I said, it's amazing that we've survived.
Yeah.
When you look at all the crap that went on through history, forget sports, politics, and wars alone. How are we still sitting here? How is the world not just disintegrated like an Avengers movie or something?
You mentioned Grambling, and I wanted not to forget this. I got to go to the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year banquet when I went down to the national championship game. And Coach O won it. Hopefully he's that good because he just lost both coordinators, by the way.
Yes.
And I ran into Eddie Robinson III, and he said to make
Trey.
sure you tell Everson I said hi.
Is he a little clone of his grandfather or what? It just looks just like him. He'll soon be brushing his hair up from
behind. Really nice guy. I had a long conversation with him.
But when you grow up with the Robinson family, you go through a lot of different organizations that others don't get a chance to go through. The Yankees, of course, loved Eddie Robinson. We were like the first football team to play a football game in Yankee Stadium.
Really?
Yeah, 1969, I think it was. It was Morgan State.
Okay.
I think they said 3 Hall of Famers came from that football game back then. And so that's when, the HBCUs, they were just black colleges.
Right.
And they just had studs all running through there before all integration came. So it was an amazing event. So now he's working with the Yankees, talking about Eddie Trey. He's working with several organizations that because Eddie Robinson's your grandfather, he has gotten to know some of the most important people in the world.
Yeah.
And he walks around like he's never met anybody.
No,
just as humble as
just
can be.
the nicest guy. Yeah. And we were talking. I said, well, you can do me one favor. I said, what's that? I said, would you leave the Eddie Robinson Museum open on the weekends? Because when I drive through, it's closed on the weekends. He goes, well, you have connections, and I bet I can open it
There
for you.
There you go.
And I met his son, too, Eddie Robinson the fourth.
Wow.
How about that?
See, I hadn't even met him.
He's in college now, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Eddie Trey has a son in college?
Yeah.
He looks like you, Spade. He looks like he's like 25.
Well, he does. You're right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted
So
to
where
make
is
sure
the
I
Eddie
told you.
Robinson Museum?
It's
on campus.
in Grambling.
Okay.
I have pictures if you want to see them.
All right.
I do.
All right.
They have a video running through there. And it was the quarterback story. We had the one white quarterback. It was a Grambling Tiger. Mm-hmm. And you will not remember who was the star of that movie. And I was there as they shot the movie. My wife and I were in the movie.
Were you?
We
Really?
were extras in the movie. Do you know who the white tiger was?
I heard the name, but I do not remember.
Well, his name has changed. It used to be Bruce. And now it's Caitlin.
It's what?
Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Caitlin. Am I right?
Oh, I'm with you
That's
now.
how you say
Really?
it, right? Caitlin Jenner?
Yeah.
Is that how you say her name? That's Bruce Jenner. Bruce
He
was
was
the
the
white tiger. Bruce was the white. I was in a scene with Bruce Jenner, guys. You gotta look it up, man. White Tiger. I was in a domino scene. I'm with my boys. We're playing dominoes. Come on, it's a black college. You gotta put a domino scene in there. Come on, you can't have a scene at Grambling State. Come on, back in the
that's
'60s and not have a domino scene. So I'm playing dominoes, me and my boys, and we look up, and some white dude opens the door at all black school in the dormitory, and he goes, "Hey guys," and we look at him like he's got no clothes on, like he has no clothes. Like, what are you doing in here, white boy?
So
You know
how
what I'm
many
saying?
movies have been called White Tiger?
I don't know. Grambling's White Tiger.
Okay,
only
let me put in Grambling.
Only one. Hey, that helped me pay my bills when I was off campus for my senior
They
year.
actually paid you to
Yes,
sit
I was-
there and
come
be
on,
in
man.
it.
I'm a SAG now.
You didn't
dude.
have a- you didn't
I'm
have
with
a
SAG.
1981 movie.
I'm with SAG, man. Come on.
I didn't see you on the show last.
That's right,
Sunday.
Bruce Jenner, starring Bruce Jenner.
Oh, dude, the Allstate man, the insurance man, Dennis Haysbert.
Haysbert was there.
He was there.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, everybody was there, man. The guy from the Rookies, the one of the black guys from the Rookies, the old show, Sanford, right? Sanford, I think is his name. He's the producer or the director of the show. They're stars at Grambling.
See,
man.
you don't get this anywhere else but Talkin
Anywhere
Cowboys.
else.
That's right.
baby.
That's right. George Stanford Brown.
George Stanford Brown was the director of the
Roots.
movie. Mm-hmm. Come on, man.
There you go.
I rub
right.
elbows with them all, baby.
Well,
Not just Spags. I go deeper than that.
since we're talking Hall of Famers, meaning
Yes.
Eddie Robinson, should we talk Hall of Fame now? We're closing
why
in
not?
on the close of this first segment. I don't know that we have enough time to.
I don't think we do.
I know we don't have enough
Yeah.
time to.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. Let's talk about the ones who got in first, and then we'll come back and talk about the one
Excellent.
who did not get in.
Excellent.
It was, and we talked about Jimmy last week. Yeah, Mickey, you weren't here last week,
Right.
but it was great seeing Jimmy as he found out, got surprised on
Emotional.
Fox.
Even I was happy. Even I was happy for him.
I never think I've ever seen him happy, emotional like that. You know,
Yeah.
when he's usually happy.
No,
he's
that
very
was
boastful.
that was like that came from somewhere he
within.
wasn't ready for.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they had the wherewithal to keep a camera on Troy during it.
Yes.
That was pretty good producing there.
Yep. And then Cliff Harris gets in last Wednesday.
That's great stuff, man.
Yeah.
I had called Cliff the week before. I don't know what I was doing. I just got bored. I called him, and we started talking. I had him laughing about different stuff. So then I called him back after he won. I told him I was good luck for him.
Yeah.
That phone call got him in.
I got to talk to him Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. After I got back, I gave him a call after he did the announcement, and yeah, he was really happy. He was pretty humble about it too.
No doubt. Yeah, he was.
Knowing him, and but he just thought it was great, and he said he made sure he'd text back and forth with Drew. I'm not getting ahead of ourselves, but just to let him know that as happy as I am, I'm more sad for you not getting in.
And that was the reason I called him the second time, was because everybody was just so heartbroken.
Yeah.
You know, you have the video right there, and like I said, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but you just can't talk about how Cliff deserves better. in regards to us being so angry about Drew that, man, this guy made the Hall of Fame.
Let's enjoy the fact that he
it was
made
like
it. Yeah.
a secondary
He's a
story.
free agent, man.
Yeah.
He was from Ouachita Baptist, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to tell him, I had to call and let him know, he's always laughing at me, but I had to call and let him know how unfair that, we all feel for him, because it's overshadowed.
That's his moment, yeah.
It's so overshadowed by, man, what a great accomplishment. And I talked about his numbers to him, and how, God, dude, you don't realize. You look at him as a player that just came up and hit people. This guy's a 6-time Pro Bowler. That's 6-time Pro Bowler. That's a lot of Pro Bowls for a free safety.
And he still got his wits about him too.
He still does.
He's got a great room in his house, so he's got his upstairs man cave, sort of like you, right?
Yeah.
But he's got a closet in there, and it's a big walk-in closet, and he's got everything from back in his playing day, like the playbooks for the games.
Wow.
He's got them in binders, and you can go in there and see where he kept notes on.
He and Charlie Waters deserve each other. they just keep. Who keeps that stuff?
He kept it all.
I couldn't wait to get rid of that stuff.
And I can't tell you the stuff he had in there, White. And then when we were getting ready to leave, we were going down, and I was talking about the closet, and his wife comes in. She goes, "Oh, you didn't take them in that closet, did you?" And I said it was the best part of the tour.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
It was unbelievable.
And you have to mention, I don't want to go through the break, but you have to mention just how he played for his father.
Right.
His father was blind, if I'm not mistaken,
From
and wasn't
diabetes.
able to see
That's why
him.
he does the
That's
golf
why
tournament.
he does the golf tournament. But he wasn't able to see him play. I don't know if he wasn't able to see him play at all, but I know at a certain age, Cliff was playing in front of his blind father.
Yeah.
And that just shows a lot of dedication, strength, and also sadness. My dad was blessed enough. Our parents, hopefully you guys were the same way. They weren't afflicted with anything like that. And to carry that with you, I would imagine it fueled him a lot.
Yeah.
As he played from Ouachita all the way through, playing for his dad. And, of course, he kept that legacy alive through the golf tournament, as we spoke of.
And I had Rick Goslin on my show on CBS 11 on Sunday night. He talked about Cliff Harris, and he thinks one of the reasons – Cliff didn't even think he was going to get it. I mean, it blindsided him. He thought –
all of us.
Yeah.
We're all thinking Drew.
But Goose thinks one of the reasons is the makeup of this committee. And there were 7 football guys on this committee, the Special Centennial Class Selection Committee, including Bill Belichick. I'm looking at the list of the committee members. Gil Brandt was on it. I'm looking for other football guys who were on it. Dick LeBeau, John Madden, Ozzie Newsome. He said there were 7 guys. Bill Polian. And Ron Wolf, okay, and not just media members. And so he thinks the reason Cliff got in was those football guys looked at how he was. They weren't looking at stats. They don't care anything about stats or how many Pro Bowls you were in. They were looking at you.
How you played.
How you played football.
Right.
And so that says a lot about the respect that Cliff Harris has among football people that in this class he got in.
And I heard Goose talk about the day or the days they had 2 12-hour meetings in person, and this fouled several conference calls with everybody that they held before that. So it was pretty extensive. They weren't very cavalier about it. So I guess we've blown the second segment here.
Now,
already.
okay, we'll be back in a moment. We talk Drew Pearson in just a moment here on Talkin Cowboys.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor, see more, do more.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down, based on GWS One score September 2019.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Got a lot to get to here on this edition of Talking Cowboys. We want to get into this Cowboys coaching staff. Of course, Senior Bowl is starting up this week. Coaches aren't down at the Senior Bowl. Decision made by Mike McCarthy, keeping them here. The scouts are there at the Senior Bowl this week. And but let's talk Drew Pearson for a little bit here, because I think everyone was pretty shocked and dismayed last Wednesday morning when Drew did not get the call with this expanded class of senior players that were added to the Hall of Fame. There were 10 players, seniors, who were voted in to the Hall of Fame. I believe 6 of them are deceased. So they were players from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Rick Gosselin told me that was one of the reasons they had the expanded class, was to take care of those who had been bypassed way back in the past. Yeah. But as far as the modern era guys now, Drew Pearson is the only all-decade player, not just wide receiver, but all-decade player who is not in the Hall of Fame after Cliff Harris got in.
You know, and when Cliff got in, and I think he understood, and Everson can talk about it, when you get so close to making it and you don't get in, it's just crushing. And in 2004, he was in the final 10 along with Bob Hayes and Rayfield Wright. And he got eliminated when they cut to 6, I think it was, or 7. 6. And then the other 2 guys got voted out. Rayfield didn't make it. Bob Hayes didn't make it that year. So
crazy,
3
man.
of them.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, that's got to be excruciating. And so he understood Drew's part of that, of how crushing it can be. And, you know, and Everson, you did the same thing. You have a room full of people, and you're sitting there waiting, and then it doesn't happen.
See, his was they just had to drive to his house. Mine flew to Minneapolis.
That's right.
So we're talking. Yeah, I feel for you, but no. In regards to Drew, man, God, it's just it's so much I want to say, and I just have to be kind of careful. You know, when you talk about the old regime of the Cowboys, they weren't friends of the players. Let's just say what it is. They weren't friends of the players. We were adversarial. We had an adversarial relationship, management and players. And there was a time there to where Rayfield Wright, Bob Hayes, I mean, come on, Mel Renfro even. These guys had to wait. They had to wait way too long to get in. Some of them, it took begging from others. Bob Hayes changed sports. He changed the game. He changed sports. Olympic medal, Super Bowl. Okay, you can look that up and see how unique that is. You know, Rayfield Wright, all pro, like, oh my God, 10, 11, 12 times. And you take all this time to get in. Mel Renfro. So you got to know that, you know, when you start talking about that environment from back then, it wasn't friendly. And Tex Schramm and those guys, they had long memories. And if you made them mad, then they got something for you.
Leroy Jordan.
Come on, man. I mean, we're talking guys that deserve to be in.
Didn't get in the Ring of Honor until
to get in.
Jerry bought the team.
So now here you go. This is the dynamic here. Old regime, don't give a crap. Well, really, not just don't give it. Old regime, really not your friend. New regime comes in. Oh, all those guys that didn't make it in the old regime, we don't dislike you. We just, we just don't care for you. I mean, we don't dislike you, but we've got guys that we have to deal with now. So you got guys like Drew Pearson, myself, Cornell Green, You just talked
Especially
about
Cornell.
Cornell, all pro at safety and corner. All of these guys have been forgotten about.
Harvey Martin.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. So all these guys have been forgotten about and now are low priority for this organization, this regime. You can't blame Jerry for that. You can't do that.
It's
but
almost
we are
like
stuck
he's got to make up for what should have been done.
You got me making up for Harvey Martin. You should have put Harvey Martin in. Mm-hmm. So this is the dynamic that we're dealing with that leads to the sadness of Drew Pearson and everybody that loves him. And it affects everybody. I talked to Harold Carmichael. He's upset about it, even though he's blessed to get in. Any one story that's positive, then you've got the Drew Pearsons, you've got the Harvey Martins. That family, Harvey and his mom are gone. Mm. So you got to think about what that family thinks about every Hall of Fame. My problem is not my problem. My approach is this: before I got in, I never saw a Hall of Fame event. I still haven't seen one. I don't care to see one. Mm-hmm. I promised my dad when he died. I'm not until I'm in. He used to call me every Hall of Fame. hey, son, you shut him down pretty good. Or Mark goes in. Hey, son, wait a minute. He called me all the time, right? So we have fun with it. So that's just our little thing. So everyone has their good and sad stories or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's a tragedy that we had to get here because of these political dynamic crap that went on back then, and really is still continuing today. No fault of Jerry's. Mm-hmm. It's not my job to make up for that. I got other guys I got to deal with. We got to deal with Witten now, Ring of Honor. We got to deal with Tony Romo, Ring of Honor. Some of these guys hadn't even made it to that yet.
Right, even in the conversation.
Right.
And I got a feeling what happened was when they started going through this and they looked at the coaches, and it was like, okay, Jimmy deserves to be in. So, Jimmy. And then they looked at the players, and, with Cliff, it had been so long since he, 2004 is a long time ago, right? When he came that close, and it's like, okay, he deserves to be in. And then when you're voting, I guarantee you those guys looked at that list and said, well, we can't put three Cowboys in. And it's like Drew took it up the shorts, And
when you think about what Bill said about the type of guys that were in the room, to me, that boosts Drew's odds even more. So
I just think they couldn't do three Cowboys.
That didn't sit well with me at all.
And there was only three teams that got two guys
Keep in mind on Harold Carmichael's resume, it does say Dallas Cowboy on there.
yeah, right.
This last year was with the Cowboys.
I know, because I was the one taking them out every night.
So there are some in that room who considered Harold Carmichael
I just remember walking in the locker room, I'm going, that's the tallest wide receiver I've ever seen in my life.
I talked to Harold. Harold's like, man, we weren't worth the crap when I was there, but boy, we had fun. That's all.
And the other thing with the football guys in the room, and that's just one thing that Goose told me the other night, is they looked at Harold Carmichael as as tall as a 6'8" guy, and he was the first of those type wide receivers coming into the league, and they looked at it much in the same way as like a Bob Hayes, the big wide receiver. He was the first of those types.
And then also, and this really got lost, was the fact that Clint Murchison, I don't even think they discussed it. And think about it. If not for Clint, we're not sitting here.
That's right. We ain't here. There's no here.
There's no.
This is still foreclosed land.
Right? Who knows?
We'd be the Dallas Texans.
Yeah, I mean, they probably would have been here.
We'd be in Kansas City. We'd be in Kansas City right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, how does that happen? But I understand, and no one knows who Clint
is. That's what happens
because
when you take so long to do things right. We've been doing it outside of sports. We've been doing it in politics. We've been doing it socially. Everything that went to crap centuries ago, now we got to make up for it.
Right. I guarantee the people in that room didn't know. I mean, Summerall might. I mean, not Summerall.
Gosselin?
Goose probably knows who he was, right? I don't know who else. Madden probably knows. But no one knows Clint. And
Murchison. Okay, yeah.
Because he was in the background. He wasn't a guy that was out front. What did you get, like 2 years maybe before he passed away?
Yes.
He sold the team and then he passed away. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't an out front guy. He let Tex run the show. He let Tom and Gil run the show. But if it's not for
Which
him,
is the way, that's the
right?
way it
That's
used
the
to
way
be.
it used to be, right? This is I'm a rich man, and this is my toy, and I love being around these guys, right? And
now the toy has become your staple.
Yeah, now it's a business.
That's right.
And so that's the unfortunate thing, that no one even discusses the fact that he didn't get in. And at some point, the guy that started the Dallas Cowboys should be in the Hall of Fame.
How you gonna put the GM in?
The coach and the scout.
Except for the guy that hired everybody.
Yeah.
All right, and the good news for Drew Pearson, Goose believes that he's going to get in probably this coming year.
Yeah, thanks, Goose.
Okay.
Thanks,
but he thought he also was going to get in this year too.
Goose, you're doing a great job.
I love that when the guy doesn't get in that you think should get in, and you go and talk to guys, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't know, understand how he didn't get in, and it's like, all right,
well, that's your job.
I need some transparency on this balance.
And you know what? I'm glad you said that, because that's one thing I like about, and Goose has been a part of it, I believe. This process, it needs to be transparent. It really
They
does.
do in baseball, right?
Yep,
they
right.
reveal their votes.
There's too much BS going on. Of course, there's politics and everything. Even if the media was taken out of it and the players were the first line of defense to vote for Hall of Fame, there'd still be a lot of politics involved. Let's just be real about that. But I just like the fact that the veil has been lifted and we can see just what the process is, so I can know who to point the finger at and blame.
And the veil has been lifted on this new Cowboys coaching staff. So when we come back, we will tell you who you can point at and blame next season when we come back in a moment.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys and your favorite football team. Get yours today in the Stadium Pro Shop or at Stetson.com.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to?
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's best network. Come into an AT&T store to find out how to get one of our popular smartphones for $0 down. Based on GWS 1 score September 2019.
Essilor is a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, helping fans see more and do more with our best vision solutions. Our lens technologies reveal a world more beautiful than you can imagine. For a limited time, get the Essilor Next Gen offer. When you buy the latest generation of Transitions lenses with select Essilor lenses, you can choose a second pair of clear lenses for free with qualifying frame purchases. Restrictions apply. Find a participating eye care professional by visiting EssilorUSA.com. Essilor. See more, do more.
So, you're shopping, and that's when you see it. Aisle 23. Dr. Pepper stacked from top to bottom as far as the eye can see. The phrase too good to be true comes to mind, yet there it is. A rich, delicious Dr. Pepper paradise. Wait, did that can of Dr. Pepper just open itself for you? They all are. As if to say, so nice to treat you. And even though it feels weird to talk to a can, you pick one up and say, it's so nice to be treated. Dr. Pepper, so nice to treat you.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Okay, Mickey doesn't have his material for a Jack Black read.
But Bill has a personal experience.
Yeah, I have a little anecdote to pass along. There's a Jack Black warehouse of some sort in Coppell. I can tell you that much because we were driving to a party the other night, and my wife said, look, there's a Jack Black building right there. So there you go.
Well, maybe we should drive over there and introduce ourselves. We need product.
There you go. Well,
if they saw your beard this morning, they think clearly give you.
Which, by the way, I started using that razor, and it is really good. I don't know why.
When was the last time you used it?
It hasn't been this morning. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Friday.
Yeah.
I think Friday because I had to do a TV appearance.
All right. On Thursday, you had an opportunity, along with other scribes, to visit with the head coach, Mike McCarthy. How'd that go?
It went, I thought, awfully well. And there was kind of two parts to it. We were on the record. We were able to record things. There was no video allowed. no texting during the session. I think we were in there for 35 minutes with him, maybe.
He had a break with him
and
because he came and did his TV. He did a 5-minute segment with me for the Cowboys huddle.
First things first.
Yeah, and then he came back, and it was just off the record, just kind of shooting.
So tell us the off the record stuff. That's what we want to hear.
I'm not supposed to, Bill. but he was very engaging, and he had stories, and now let's see if this continues when there's things on the line, right? Mm-hmm. And I've heard that, like, when he gets in the press conferences during the season, he doesn't give away anything.
He doesn't.
Most coaches don't.
Right, and that's what everybody wanted to always criticize Jason for.
And he was. I remember, especially when he and Rodgers were going at it, he was very short at his press conferences. Right. You could just see that he was fed up with all of this mess.
But he was pretty expansive with us, talking, and he really answered all the questions. And there was really no question that he said, I don't want to answer that. The only thing he kind of hedged his bet on was what sort of defense they would play. You're going to play a 3-4, you're going to play a 4-3, and he kind of went back and forth. And then he finally said, look, we're going to have a 4-man line. And so take it for what that's worth.
But they're in a sub package.
Yeah, and that's what
80% of the time.
85% of the time, he said we're in a sub package, so you're a 4-man line. So, but I thought it was instructive that basically said I'm not picking players to fit my scheme. I'm picking the best players available. I'm picking Dallas Cowboy players, and then we'll adjust what we do to the talent we have.
And that's on offense, defense, whatever.
And special teams, whatever. So I thought that was good. The other thing that impressed me was the fact in 1 week's time, he put a staff together. So he knew going in what he wanted to do. You don't just get the job and go, okay, let me go out there. He already had a plan that I want Mike Nolan to do this. I want Jim Tomsula, is that how you say it? To do this. And so he had this in his, and he wanted Kellen Moore, and he went out of his way to point out that when he was interviewing for other jobs, he had his eye on Kellen Moore to bring him along as his offensive coordinator.
Really?
So he thought that much of him, of what he did in his
Do
first year.
they have a personal connection in any way?
No, none, other than keeping an eye on him from afar.
He spent the last year studying the Cowboys' offense, probably, and what's happened this last season.
And he was like, if I had gone to Carolina or the Giants, wherever else he had interviewed, he was like, if they didn't keep him here, I was coming after him.
That says a lot.
And who's calling plays?
And then he pointed out, and he's going to call the plays.
That says a lot,
right?
It really does.
And he said, now I'll be involved in the structure. He kind of said that's what he got away from in Green Bay when he didn't call plays. He wasn't involved in the structure of the offense, the game plan in the offense, and he thought that was a mistake.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But this is his expertise. This is why he lasted that long as a head coach. And he pointed out that, I'm going to let him call plays. So that was very interesting.
I'd say he'll let him call plays, but he'll be buried on the shoulder.
He'll have a card in his hand
sure
too,
will.
Right?
Yeah.
But anyway, the fact that he had all these guys, and a lot of them he had relationships with that he hired, which is good. And I learned that lesson back when the Cowboys in '89, when Jimmy came, for better or for worse, he brought all his guys from Miami with him. I think there was like 8 guys.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And he said, I made the mistake when I took the job at Miami, and he didn't get the job till the first week in June when Schnellenberger left to go. It was going to be a USFL team, I believe, that never happened in Miami. And so all he got to do was bring Butch Davis with him, one guy from his Oklahoma State staff. And he said, there was no loyalty. The majority of the guys that were left there from Schnellenberger's staff all wanted the job, and they didn't get it. So they were somewhat jealous. And he goes, it was the worst year in coaching I ever had. And he said, so I said to myself, when I ever get another chance, I'm bringing my guys with me. So it wasn't like he hired guys off the Green Bay staff, but guys that he had coached with or at least been with. He coached for Mike Nolan in San Francisco. He was the offensive coordinator or quarterback coach.
For 1 year,
For 1 year when Nolan was the head coach at San Francisco.
I remember that. If you recall, Mike Nolan was very theatrical on the sidelines because he went throwback.
Right, he wore the suit,
tie,
right, and
suit
tie.
and tie on the sideline, and that was very controversial.
Yeah, it was. He had to get permission to do it, I think.
I think he didn't get permission first.
Yeah.
And they were not happy about it.
Yes.
And then he came back and tried to get permission. I don't think they were happy about it the second time.
And it was a tribute to his dad.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but you still got to have the gear contract that he had.
That's right.
And then I thought it was interesting that when he said, I first want to get my coordinators and then let them have a say in who they hire on their staff. And Kellen Moore spoke up for Doug Nussmeier. And they moved him from tight ends coach to quarterback coach.
Wow.
And that's the only other coach they've kept unless they decide to keep Leon Lett, who he wanted to. Leon was actually coaching the East-West Shrine game. And
So
they
is
were
he
waiting
gonna keep
for him to get back. He wanted to talk to him.
Oh, that'd be great.
I think they talked on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet I'm thinking, unless Leon has something better, I think the guys reacted to him pretty well. So we'll see where that one goes.
And the other thing that's happened here in the last week, Jason Garrett has landed with the New York Giants.
Is that crazy?
And Mark Colombo interviewing there.
That's one thing we forget about when it comes to all of this coaching carousel. Now he's got a family, right? I mean, do they all go with him? Are they going to stay here? Kids in school? I mean, I don't know.
No, it's just he and his wife.
It's just he and his wife?
Yeah.
Oh, she might like it here.
Well,
So
she might, but they also probably liked when he was playing there and they lived in Manhattan.
That was a while ago, dude.
Well, it was 2000
and he's got family in New Jersey,
2003,
so.
And he's got brothers and sisters, I think, that still live in New Jersey.
So I guess we just kind of forget about how
what
the
we forget
family upheaval
is when one guy gets fired, 20 guys get fired.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everybody's moving families. And so think about all the coaches that,
that do have kids and extended family.
And it's like Nussmeier, I was thinking, oh, man, his son was going to be a senior.
The happiest people are Flower Mound Marcus Marauder fans. His son, Garrett, who's going to be a senior and he's a top quarterback recruit. Oh, he's a stud.
LSU's
he's coming back for his senior year at Marcus High School.
What are they doing? What are they doing? Are they going to?
No, he's here. Nussmeier's staying as a quarterback.
He's the guy who keep it.
Now, Gitna, and John's son is a quarterback at Frisco Reedy.
Right.
So that's where they're landing.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but then, that's what happens.
And then in our final few minutes here, what happens with Jason Witten?
It's a good question.
I'd love
that
for him
I don't
to stay
have
on.
the answer to.
I'd love for him to stay on. Only because of the attitude.
I mean, he hired a tight ends coach. The guy that was with the Giants, Lunda Wells.
Lunda.
I was like
Lunda Wells.
Lunda Wells. And I don't know that he wants to continue.
Are you
playing.
saying staying on as a player or
I
on
would
the
love for him
coaching
to
staff?
come on as a coach.
Yeah, there you
because it's already established. His attitude and how he communicates with the players. Sometimes behind the scenes we don't realize, a guy might be a jerk in the locker room, but the media loves him, the coaches love him. No, I think Jason Witten's he's liked by all. I think what he said in the locker room, people usually agree with, and I mean people that count.
Right.
They usually agree with it. He pretty much sets the tone in that locker room.
What do you make of the Chris Mortensen report?
I was going to say, by the way, we can go to noon because there's no show after
Okay.
this.
Yeah. Well, let's do that.
Which
the Chris
one?
Mortensen report on Sunday morning, which said, quoting sources, that keep an eye on Jason Witten perhaps joining Jason Garrett with the Giants. It sounded like in a playing capacity if he decides to play.
If he decides to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I mean, if he does, he's going to. I bet he's going to New York by himself.
Talk about family.
He's
right?
got a slew of kids. And, I mean, they're pretty entrenched in the community.
And I think that's why it's more convenient.
Well, that's
it's
the
not
other
just
part
about
of the coaching part of it. If he wants to, of course, he could just sit out and not do, you know, and be a dad for a year.
And I think that's but he said he did talk to Jason. It might have been phone calls or whatever, and he did talk to Sean Lee. So
McCarthy did.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see.
You got to think that being a coach is more pressure on the family than being a player. That's kind of hard to say because I saw the players way more than I saw my family when I played.
Mm-hmm.
Coach was even worse.
Oh yeah,
especially depending on who you're coaching for. I remember when Springs came to came to the Browns. It was my last year playing, and everyone always admired Tom Landry's screen passes. And Ron Springs is one of the best screen pass runners because he learned from Tom Landry and the best, and Dorsett as well. And so Belichick brought him in to help them construct a good screen pass philosophy within his offense. And he said no one would leave the office until Belichick turned off that treadmill and turned off his lights. Everybody was just waiting. They don't have nothing in front of them. They're just waiting on Belichick to leave.
Don't you think Saban's the same way?
I believe that. Because Saban was one of the guys, he was right there with Belichick. I'm not going anywhere till he goes somewhere. Because he was the DC for the Browns at the time. And, you know, Ron's there just as a consultant. So he's up here trying to spread discontent. Hey, man, let's go. You ready to go? You ready to go? Come on, let's go out to this happy hour. Like, nah. Gotta wait for Belichick.
Jason Garrett told a funny story when he was on Saban's staff at Miami. So he's a first-year quarterback coach at the Dolphins with Saban, and it was the year I don't know if he'd finished the year. So it was the year Troy Aikman gets into the Hall of Fame. And, you know, he kind of wanted to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony, and he got invited, and then he's like, oh, we got practice on Saturday. Friday I'd have to miss. And he goes, but I just felt compelled that I should go since I was so close to Troy and all those years. And so he finally said, I worked up enough nerve to go into Saban's office and say, Coach, I don't know if I can do this or not, or if it's okay, but Troy Aikman is going in the Hall of Fame, and you know, I know we got practice Friday and Saturday. It's training camp. And Saban looked at him. He goes, do you think we can't go through practice without you?
I can see Nick saying that. It's like, why are you coming to me with this?
Go.
Why are you asking me these questions? I have other stuff on my mind.
But that's the same thing. That's coaching, right? Those guys are like that. And that's a hard job. Now, coaches coach because, you know, that's their job.
Oh,
players don't want to put in that much time again to coach.
Yeah. Well, it's a difference now because the physical as opposed to the mental aspect is totally different.
Yeah.
But still, as you get older, I mean, Jason's not that young 22-year-old anymore, so there's still a toll on you physically and mentally. But when you're talking about playing, I think we take it for granted. You know, as players, I used to get up sore all the time, and it was no big deal. You know, now that I'm older, I get up sore. It's a big deal.
Got to check everything.
Yeah, it's just the difference between, you know, your time and your life, and you have to make sure that you understand that.
Here's the deal with Jason Witten. I think he's got the potential to be like a Mike Vrabel, where he can be a head coach, whether it's at the major college level, let's say at Tennessee, or in the NFL.
I was wondering if he was considering going back to.
Well, that guy might have saved his job at the end of the year at Tennessee. They kind of got successful.
And so what do you do to get in that position to be an NFL head coach? Okay, he's got 16, 17 years of experience already, which I think counts for something right there. But as far as a coaching experience, what does it take for him to put himself in that position where he can be in position for a head coaching job?
I think he needs to stay on the professional level. Mm-hmm. If he really wants to get back to being a head coach, stay on the professional level. You have to get with an organization. You get with a coaching staff. To me, it'd be more of a coaching staff where someone can show you the best way to be a head coach. Okay, Vrabel could have gone anywhere to learn how to be a head coach, but he stayed, I would imagine.
Well, no, first off, after he retired, he was at Ohio State linebackers coach for 1 year and then defensive line coach for 2 years. So he spent 3 years at his alma mater, Ohio State, and then hired by the Texans in 2014 as the linebackers coach, 2017 defensive coordinator, and then
Texans
next year,
Patriots,
1 year as a DC, and then to the Tennessee Titans as the head coach.
If you were to go back, it's like this. If I'm Vrabel versus Witten, Vrabel goes back to Ohio State. Great program. Witten goes back to Tennessee. Big difference.
Could get lost there.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
So and Vrabel, of course, played with the Patriots.
So he's with Urban Meyer at Ohio State.
He says that's the difference. So now you got Jason Witten, who's already the quintessential tight end. Mm-hmm. So just stay on this level. Not saying the college is beneath you, but for him that would be a step back to me. I think he should stay on this level.
And it would be of value to him if he were to, on this Cowboys coaching staff, even not coaching tight ends, probably greater value to him coaching a different position. Maybe an assistant special teams coach under Fossil or something.
That's what I was
facets
thinking.
of the game.
Exactly.
Assistant special teams. Learn something else.
Right.
Because I think that certainly helped Andre Gerard, and I don't know what will happen with him, but you got a Pro Bowl center here, but he started working with the defensive linemen.
Yes.
Learn another part of the game.
Mm-hmm. It's anytime you can make yourself more well-rounded,
right?
Yeah, you take that opportunity. Don't turn it down. When I played, I was like, "Oh, I'm just a cornerback. Oh, only old people go into safety." Only old mules go out to safety. Well, here comes Belichick. He's like, "Hey, you're going to safety." I'm like, "Man, cool." You know? And it made me a better player and really a better teammate.
And that's what I think happens sometimes to head coaches when they have an expertise at one side of the ball, and then when they go and they become a head coach and your expertise is over here, you're at the mercy of the guy over here.
That's right.
Like, take care. I can't fix the defense, and if you think about Jimmy, it's like he could kind of keep a hand on the defense when he first got here. He was at the mercy of his offensive coordinator. And until Norv Turner got here, the offense struggled.
That's why the staff is so important.
Exactly.
I didn't
Going
think
back
Jimmy
to where we
knew
started,
much about
right?
The X's and O's at all.
Right.
But he knew talent, not just as a player. As players, he knew talented coaches.
Right.
That's a strength that you really don't see that in the game these days.
And he heard that about him in one night before an away game, and it was early '89, and it was probably 90, 91.
He hates to hear that.
And he came into the hospitality room, and somehow it came up, and he got a cocktail napkin, and he started diagramming offensive plays. I'll show you what I know.
Okay, Coach. Yeah, we'll take that with us. That's
but
going
think
in the
about
Hall
it.
of Fame
Mike
as well.
Shula was in over his head. And he couldn't help that side of the ball out. And so Dave Shula, excuse me, Mike's still coaching.
And it's no knock on coaches have egos. Jimmy had the biggest ego. It's not a bad thing to not know everything. Everybody's not Tom Landry. Mm-hmm. Tom was special. Coaches back then, they had to know.
He knew it all,
every position.
Right? Every position. And if you think about it, when he hired
Tom was a punter, so he had to know special teams as well.
When he hired Norv Turner, and it was at the Super Bowl, we were in Tampa, I believe.
Oh, you're familiar with that Super Bowl.
You happened to be there, right?
He was 24.
He was looking for an offensive coordinator. And he had already been turned down interviews for a couple guys, and somebody turned him down. He was thinking of bringing Stevens from the University of Miami in. He didn't want to do it. They thought he was going to do it. There was a coach at San Diego. They couldn't get an interview with. Like, Norv was the third or fourth choice, right, that he finally hired. And we were in the middle of the week and spending our week chasing Jimmy because we needed to know who the offensive coordinator was. Finally, we're at his hotel in the lobby. He comes down off the elevator and he sees us. He goes, "Look, I am not hiring anybody this week. Do yourself a favor, enjoy the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
And he called off the dogs, right? Because we're all sitting there following his every step of the way. And then he finally settled on Norv, and it was a home run. And it was like, are you kidding me? You just hired the wide receivers coach from the Rams, Norval Turner?
Mm-hmm.
Who ever heard of this guy, right?
And we didn't have Google back then. We couldn't Google him to figure out who this person was.
Right. and the rest is history, right?
All right. The most significant hire on this coaching staff, who is it?
Oh, boy. I hadn't looked at it that way.
Is it the special teams coach, John Fossil?
Fossil, I think that's huge. That was a big struggle. Now,
I say the D-line.
But
Tom Sula.
Tom Sula.
I like Jim Tom Sula a lot.
I think when you say significant, it's only going to be significant if he makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope it's the most significant pick because that D-line, I'm sorry, but that D-line is just as complicit in our inability to stop the run as the linebackers.
Look at what the 49ers have done with their D-line and where they are
you know,
right now.
So let me piggyback on what I said. So the other side of the ball, Mike Nolan, whoever was the defensive coordinator, to me, that's what needed to be fixed. You can't score 30 points a game to win every time. You've got to win some 24
I do not want to go
games.
back to 2016, 17 to where we're all offense, no D.
Right.
I'm tired of that. I want to go back to some type of doomsday. I don't care what you call it, but we've got to get a more staple defensive philosophy.
We can't call it hot boys anymore.
No, please
the
don't.
49ers
Please get out
have
of here with the
that.
hot boys.
Did you
Hot
see
grits,
that the
that's what they
49ers have they're trademarking it? They're putting it
did they really?
for a patent
And
on it. Yeah.
now they deserve it.
Exactly.
They deserve it. And
But see the
it's sad to
difference
say
it makes?
that.
Your quarterback only has to throw, 8 passes? And you win a game because you can rely on your running game. What happened to Tennessee was their defense let them down, and they had to get away from the running game.
When you have a good defense, it doesn't have to be full of superstars.
Right?
You could just go get some ballers, man, some hungry players. Never heard of those guys on Buffalo's defense. I never heard of them. I'm sorry. I never heard of them. San Francisco, you know some of the guys because you guys are reporters and somebody might be from the Texas area. I don't know, except for Richard Sherman and a couple other guys. And they're not the ones making all the plays.
Well, and then they drafted the second pick in the draft, Bosa.
And, of course, Bosa. So those are the names you know. The rest of them, they're just ballers.
Right.
Bosa's not carrying them.
And
he's
John
playing
Lynch,
alongside of a heck of a defense.
It's an eye for talent. It's
Who was
huge, too.
the safety that was all over the place? He was a backup safety. I can't remember.
For the 49ers?
Yeah, it was 49ers Severance.
Once again, I just told you.
You're thinking
the
Kansas City.
Sorensen.
Daniel Sorensen.
Who's Daniel
Who was the
Sorensen?
backup? Juan Thornhill,
Right.
who a lot of people thought the Cowboys should have drafted instead of Tristan Hill, and had a great rookie season for Kansas City. He got hurt, so they just put their third safety, Daniel Sorensen, in there, and he's making plays all over
And
the
it's a
field.
Kansas City defense that timing is everything, that has, at this point, turned out to be one of the best defenses in the league from week 8 on to the end of the season.
So defense and running the football, you guys, it's still important.
By the way, they've got a honey badger over there on that Kansas City
Tyrann
defense.
Matthew.
Yeah,
And
instinctive
man, you
player.
got to be happy for him.
Yeah. So you got Richard Sherman on San Francisco's defense, and you got.
And they're loving each other on Twitter. Yeah, they're going back. They killed him. I thought they were kissing on Twitter. It was crazy.
Makes a big difference. All right, are we about out of time? We're about out of time.
Is the green notebook in business?
In fact, there it is. You haven't seen this ever since.
I've been looking at it all morning.
2020 Big Green NFL Draft Scouting Notebook. It is
He's
open
like
for
Cliff
business.
Harris. He's got crap in his
So,
closet.
and I want to know.
Look, I've already got names in there. These are guys I'm studying for the draft, starting today.
Did you go back to like 15, 16, and you had Raheem Mostert in there?
I did not have Raheem Mostert.
Think about that.
Can't end the show without
I did have in 2015. I did have Danielle Hunter, and he's got over 50 sacks in this league. So there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll talk at you next Tuesday here on Talkin Cowboys. That's right.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?